again for more New Japan Pro Wrestling in action. We're back in Jingu Stadium. The summer in Jingu Stadium. A lot of shit happened this morning. A lot of shit went down. Some people had, the spoils went to the victors. Some people was crying. Some people got their ass kicked. And best believe it, baby, we here to talk about it because we are SOS Wrestling Network, the almighty SOS Wrestling Network. I'm your boy, the Pro Wrestling Fly God, Tetsuya Naito, Stardust Yaku, joined by my illustrious great tag team partner, the book junkie yourself, the intellectual juggernaut, the exalted one, the almighty Jay. What's going on?
Hello, hello. I like this almighty stuff. I think we should keep that going. There was a lot of almightiness going on in the Jingu Stadium show from New Japan, and I am quite excited to be talking about it.
100%. We have 6 matches going down on this show. 5 of the 6 are title matches. The first opening match is a little bit of storyline build we got going on. So without further ado, before we even get into it, this is the first time New Japan has been in this stadium in 21 years. So we give New Japan a pat on the back for that. And I thought the ambiance, the atmosphere, it looked really well. I like the baseball stadium for New Japan Pro Wrestling. It kind of, I hate to even say this, it kind of made it seem like an outside WrestleMania. I hate to even say that, but it just made it feel like that to me.
Well, it's the kind of venue that really lends itself well to having this kind of performance, especially looking at who some of the participants were, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But the idea that it's only happened once before, and that was 21 years ago, that kind of historical context is always really fun. That this has only happened once, and now we're gonna revisit all of this. And how many times have we seen clips from the main event from that show? I mean, it's insane. We did not get those types of matches on this one, but we didn't necessarily need to. There were all manner of other things going on. We should probably point out that this Jingu Stadium show is, in a lot of ways, a replacement for the canceled Madison Square Garden show that was supposed to be going on roughly this time, give or take a little bit. We would have done our best to be in attendance for that, and while attending this was not an option, we had the next best thing, New Japan World, some English commentary from Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton, who were displaying extreme social distancing. Chris was in Japan, Kevin was at his house on the East Coast, and they were simultaneously giving us some English commentary. They had about 4,710 people in attendance. That was with a lot of social distancing and nowhere near capacity for any of it. But I thought this really came off largely like a normal show, even with that. I don't know if that's going to be true for everybody, but I think the outdoor venue really played a major role in it feeling like there were more people in the audience than there actually were.
100%. And I know I just said something about a WrestleMania type show. I'm going to take it back a little further. And I'm going to take it back to a WWE show that is actually a really good show. And here we don't really talk about those guys much on this channel, but when they have good shows, I will recommend them. It reminded me very much of the SummerSlam 92 show. And of course, SummerSlam 92 had like 92,000 people in it, which I'm not even talking about the attendance. I'm just talking about the atmosphere. That's kind of what I was feeling from the show. And that's what I think we got from the show. Because in my opinion, this card was all killer. It was no filler, especially for fans. And if you're a fan who is pretty much in tune and tapped with everything going on with New Japan, this was an all killer show. Because we were saying earlier that, these shorter shows, don't get it twisted. We are fans of the longer shows as well, but we are fans definitely of the shorter shows. It kind of, I don't know, it just makes things seem more formulaic. And it kind of, like I said, is this all killer, no filler. You know what I mean? Like some cards might have filler on there, and when you have matches or cards like this, you're going to get all killer. So that's just my personal opinion on that.
Well, I enjoy the filler. I know a lot of people are not necessarily there for the Young Lions matches or the multi-man tag matches that typically take up the first half of the card. I love those. I enjoy all the different things that they give us. And
I guess that was
there's definitely a place for that.
Yeah, I really didn't mean filler. I guess that was a bad kind of, I didn't mean like, because New Japan, in my opinion, doesn't really have a lot of filler. I know it's like, oh man, you guys kissing New Japan's ass. No, I'm just being real. For the most part, whether we like what they're doing or not, I can say they don't really have a lot of filler. And that's just, I was just saying, like, some companies tend to have some. I don't even view the Young Lions as filler. This is pretty much storyline progression to where their careers are going to go. So maybe it's filler to some people, but no, I think it's very essential. So no
I
filler
think
here
it's
though.
more of it all has its place. There's a place for everything at the table, and I like those things. I'm not saying that they should go to this format of programming for everything, but it's definitely something that's helping them now, not the least of which is they still don't have access to about a third of their roster. So you kind of have to have more condensed shows. And when you've got 6 matches and 5 of them are title matches, that makes the whole show feel huge.
Big facts, Tommy, and we might as well get into it. So the first match we had on the show, we had the Way of the Grand Master, Master Wato, taking on the heel master himself, the legendary heel master, Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So we have Wato looking to get some revenge on this crafty veteran right here. Kanemaru has been a thorn in the side of Master Wato for just the past few weeks. So Yoshinobu Kanemaru, like I said, is taking umbrage with my man Wato calling himself the Grand Master at 23 years old. So Wato, I think, like I said, he's getting better and better and better with every appearance. I think maybe his attire was maybe not off-putting, was people were maybe taken back by his attire when he first showed up, but he keeps getting better, so that's good. The heel master, in my opinion, Jay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying I had read on Twitter some descriptions of Master Wato's outfit and general appearance being a cross between K-pop and if the flavor of blue raspberry were a person, and that assessment is not wrong.
I mean, that's a pretty damn good assessment because Blueberry K-pop out here just killing it. But no, Yoshinobu Kanemaru was able to ensure that Wato at this point from the beginning of the match, he's going to start fighting from underneath because he was using every dirty trick, every underhand tactic he could in the book. So he made Master Wato here showcase some of his trademark babyface fire. So I like that. Wato fighting from underneath is pretty much like it's like an advantage card in a video game. It's like, oh, you got the Wato fighting underneath card. So, he's about to do damage. So that's just kind of how I look at it.
Well, let's not forget that when he was young Lion Kawato, whom everybody just adored so much, I mean, he was the favorite young lion of so many people for quite some time. And it was that scrappy underdog fight from underneath spirit that he had that played a huge role in that, because he was the scrawny little runt of the litter I have seen him described as back then, and he's bigger now, but that was really the driving aspect of his personality that really endeared him to people. So I think he's definitely better off coming up that way. The whole idea that Kanemaru's been wrestling for almost as long as Master Wato has been alive is the reason that Kanemaru took issue with this child calling himself Master Anything. Sure, I think we can all kind of relate to Kanemaru in that respect. I did particularly like how the English commentary team pointed out that his change in how he handled the Sartori surprise was the, and I quote, COVID-19 version of the Sartori surprise. Just, okay. I mean, we know that's true, but it's still kind of funny to hear it said that way. And yes, there were a lot of heel master tactics on display, but really a lot of it was just veteran savvy, that even if you weren't a horrible human being, if you were that much more experienced than your opponent, you're gonna do these things. And I like the fact that Kanemaru did not waste a finisher on Master Wato. What does he win with? a sunset flip. And the way the whole thing was set up, Wato had it won. And Kanemaru pulls what is basically a veteran trick and gets the win. And post-match, Master Wato was not happy, and I think the important thing is that he showed it. It wasn't just, oh, I lost. It was, he was visibly angry. He's kicking the rope. He's, carrying on with Hiroyoshi Tenzan, who's at ringside. His mentor is out there supporting him. But, once upon a time, we would not have seen him basically get pissed off about losing, and we're seeing it here.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that he got pissed off because, like you said, he just got out-teched right here by a guy who not necessarily using heel tactics, but if you think about it, any veteran of wrestling pretty much is going to use similar tactics to what Yoshinobu Kanemaru did. Maybe not using the Centauri Surprise bottle, maybe not going that far, but if you're having if you're wrestling like a younger wrestler, hell, even Liger's done it. He's taken liberties with young lions, so I think that's more akin to Yoshinobu Kanemaru being more of a veteran than it is to him being a heel in this match. Yeah, he did heel stuff, but I think the veteran savvy was able to shine here, and that's actually what we got. So we actually were surprised, Satori surprised, that Yoshinobu Kanemaru got the victory. But, hey, you know what? It's fine, and I'm cool with Yoshinobu Kanemaru being kind of a stopping point for our guy, Master Wato right here, because we maybe presume that he would go at El Desperado right after, but shit, El Desperado he's an open weight wrestler at this point. So this is kind of, he's like, you guys step your game up if you're trying to wrestle me. So yeah, he's at that roadblock with Kanemaru right now.
I actually am liking it now that I've seen it play out. And you're right, Wato is not ready for Despy at all. Not yet. And I think it's very telling that Kanemaru did not feel it was necessary to use a proper finisher to put Wato away. He didn't need to. So I like the idea that these two might go at each other for a while, and Wato has to gain experience and get that crafty edge to him that he does not have right now. Kanemaru is eventually going to be forced to use a real finisher to get the win over him. And once Wato is able to beat Kanemaru, like, legit, then he might be ready for Despy. Speaking of Despy, match number 2.
Match number 2, we got the King of Pro Wrestling Championship. It's not really a belt. It's more like a trophy. We have a fatal four-way, a rarity in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, the aforementioned El Desperado, the master of trickeration himself, tomfoolery, in human, incarnation. We have Toru Yano. And then we have the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Outfit of the Day, Cold Skull Sonata. So this is an entirely new concept for New Japan Pro Wrestling. This King of Pro Wrestling Championship will be really, as we see it, a gimmick-focused wrestling championship trophy, whatever you want. So we know the 4 guys that qualified in the Fatal 4-Way here. Like I said, we got Okada, Sonata, Toru Yano, El Desperado. But we might as well take a brief pit stop and go ahead and talk about who they actually defeated. The El Desperado, Satoshi Kojima, no finisher match. That match was fucking brilliant, Jay. I don't care. He couldn't stop from doing the lariat so much. He cost himself the match. I was like, that's actually great. Like that, I love that. I thought that was excellent.
Well, that was really, I think, the only way that you could have Despy getting the win there that really made sense, because Despy has so many tools in his toolbox. He didn't need Pinche Loco to win the match. It was going to be a lot more difficult for Kojima to get a singles victory without using the Cozy Lariat, but he tried, and then Despy basically manipulated the situation where he did it out of habit and cost himself the match. And I just thought that was beautiful. So go Despy. And, to all the people who were complaining that Kojima lost to a mid-card junior heavyweight, I would not want to live in the misery that is your head, because this is a lot more fun.
100%. I agree. The next we got Yoshihashi Toriano actually defeating Bushi in a 2-count pinfall match, which that match was fun. I thought that was a nice. Bushi was like, "What? That was 2?" It was just a short, entertaining match. I got a kick out of it. It was not the match of the year or anything like that, but it was a nice, fun match.
Yeah, both of their stipulations really kind of favored Yano. Yano wanted 2 counts to win the match. Bushi wanted outside the ring to be limited to a 5 count instead of the usual 20 count. I think we even said on the preview, wanting Bushi to win was one thing. Both of those match stipulations favored Yano, and it really was no surprise that he got the win.
So true, like so true. Then, in my opinion, probably the match of that show, we had a very spirited, very emotional match, a submission match, because Sho said he wanted to have a submission match, and Sonata's like, okay, I agree, not really, abiding by the stipulation of these matches, but it is what it is. And Sho went into this match with a heavy heart, as was reported his brother actually passed away, and he had his brother actually, his name, I believe, Jay, on his kick pad. So shout out to Sho for that. I'm not sure of Sho's brother's name, but shout out to Sho's brother, RIP and all that good stuff, man. Because that's some heavy stuff to have to deal with, and still want to go in there and put on a damn good match. And that's what these guys did. Sho, he was not able to pull it off. He tapped out to Sonata right here, and he was really emotional after the match too. It got me some, of course, because dealing with a situation like that, it's going to be really, really hard. So win or lose, shout out to Sho right there, as you would say, Jay, all aboard the showboat. So shout out to Sho.
Yeah, the showboat and the Yo train are both going to be taken off from the station pretty shortly, I feel, and particularly now that Sho has, I hate forfeited, it's not quite the right word, but basically Roppongi 3K has given back the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, because with Yo being out for the surgery that he had, and his recovery time is uncertain right now, they probably would have had to give them back anyway. And with all the stuff that Sho has been doing, it really does make sense that they would do that. So, on the one hand, kind of sorry about it. On the other hand, it's probably best for all concerned. And now perhaps there is a El Desperado and Doki title reign in the future, because I want to see those two do stuff. They are so much fun together. I really, really like them. But that's neither here nor there. Sho versus Sonata.
I was gonna say, I want to see them, or let's not forget Los Dos Peligroso. I don't care. Fuck the world.
Well, I just mean we hadn't really, seen a lot of them, and all of their interviews that they did were together. So they've been presented as a tag team, but we haven't seen them compete as one. Not, repeatedly. But Sho versus Sonata was really, really good. I love that match. I would like to see a revisiting of that pairing somewhere down the line. I think they're really good together, and I would like to see more.
I think, honestly, Sonata's now Sho's rival, as opposed to his rivalry with Shingo Takagi. Not saying Shingo isn't his rival anymore, but I think now it's clear that it's going to be Sonata is this guy right now that he's taking on, Jay. I kind of feel that. And the main event of that show, I didn't like it. I didn't like the stipulation. I was like, this, to me, it flat out sucked as a stipulation. It was a 3-on-1. It was Okada taking on my man Yujiro Takahashi, Jado, and Geto. I just didn't like the stip. And Okada, of course, still won the match. So that was what it was.
I was not terribly keen on that particular stipulation either, but from what I saw on social media, apparently fans were incredibly divided. Fans in not just America, but the Western fans in general voted overwhelmingly for Yujiro Takahashi's stipulation of the lumberjack leather strap match, whereas fans in Japan voted overwhelmingly for Okada's stipulation of a 3-on-1 handicap match. And there were just a lot more of them than there were of us in the voting. But apparently it was pretty split down those lines. I found that a little bit surprising, but definitely interesting that it went that way. But yeah, I didn't like that match either. But here we are with the 4 winners, Yano, Despy, Sanada, and Okada. And in the 7 minutes that this match took, oh my God, there was some stuff.
Oh man, this was we had some short-lived alliances here. We had some fast action through this match. This match, as we talk about the American side of things, talking about the voting and everything. I don't know about you, Jay, but I think this match definitely had an American pro wrestling style pace and feel to it. I think the novelty alone made that, added to that match, made it a little bit more interesting, in my opinion.
Well, the fact that New Japan has not really done a 4-way match that was not all junior heavyweights is a big deal. Like, we can look at this and go, that whole concept sucks anyway. 4-way matches are always trash. Well, if you never see them outside of a certain context, they made a big enough deal of the fact that this was a highly unusual situation. And again, when have we seen these? We've seen them in, Wrestle Kingdom junior heavyweight title matches, and that's pretty much it. You don't see these matches hardly ever in New Japan, and I was totally fine with it.
Oh, fair facts. Me too. I actually enjoyed this match a whole lot right here. So we got all the guys hitting their signature spots, of course, and we got a nice section of the Okada Sonata feud. It was kind of revisited right here, brought back memories, of their 2018, 2019 stuff right here. But in an outcome to where if anybody would have predicted this, 1, I will call you a damn liar, and 2, you need to be my fucking bookie because you need to bet everything then. And one of the most surprising outcomes that I did not see coming, Jay, we have Yano hitting Okada with the low blow whilst he had Desperado locked in a money clip and rolls up Kazuchika Okada. Once again, Toru Yano rolls up Kazuchika Okada to become the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 champion. My gosh,
Yes.
I never thought that was going to happen. Jay, thoughts?
Oh my God, I have so many thoughts. This is for a 7-minute match. This was all over the place, and this was so much fun. And I'm not having any of the negativity surrounding this match on social media. This was fun, and if you hate fun, go somewhere else. This was great. Everything from the brief alliance at the beginning of El Desperado and Sanada beating up Yano. Like, 2 guys would get together and team up on another guy. You'd kind of expect Yano and Okada to do it because they're both in chaos together, but that didn't happen as often as you'd think. Despy and Sanada went after Yano, and then Sanada and Yano went after Despy at one point. One of the funniest things about it was Sanada put Yano in the Paradise Lock. And for once, he left him there. And the English commentary team even said, no, just leave him there. Now you've only got 2 other guys to worry about. How many times have we said that? Put him in the Paradise Lock and just leave him there. And he did that. And the only reason that Yano got out of the Paradise Lock and was able to ultimately win the match by punching Okada in the dick. I will never get tired of that, either saying it or watching it. Yano wins the match by punching Okada in the dick. Yes, this happened. But he would never have gotten out of the Paradise Lock in the first place if Okada had not drop-kicked Sanada into him and basically released him. Sanada was not going to let Yano out. And Okada had totally forgotten about that. He did not do this for Yano. He did this, to go after Sanada. But, all of that was just great. And just the look on Okada's face the whole time that Yano was standing there getting his hand raised, Okada's like, what? And Yano's like, sorry, I had to. We're cool, right? And Sonata is sitting in the corner like, are you serious? Was that 3? And okay, I know that on the preview show, we talked about this match in a completely different context, but I get it now. And this is perfect. And it's not just perfect because Yano won the match by punching Okada in the dick. That's not the only thing. I didn't realize, and I don't know why I didn't realize it. There's lots going on. But whoever won this match and was officially King of Pro Wrestling for the rest of the year is going to constantly have gimmick matches with ridiculous stipulations. In that context, Yano is the only one who could win this match because of how it's going to go afterwards. And that just didn't really occur to me before, that, every time he defends it, there will be weird stipulations involved. And there's basically no way that any one of the other 3 could pull that off the way Yano will.
Facts. This is essentially, when you think about it, as I think about it, this is essentially New Japan's answer for like a hardcore championship or a DDT Iron Metal heavyweight championship. It's essentially the answer for that. The only difference is it's not getting defended 24/7. It's essentially the same thing. You have your guy who could be the clown prince of that division. Shout out to Crash Holly. You got a guy who can be your Crash Holly and Yano. So let him run with it. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost the same thing.
And I think that's why it's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun because it's totally different from anything else that they have. And, if people are going to complain about, the Never Trios titles being absolutely useless, or, they don't need a US title, they can, Okay, fine. This is totally different. This doesn't even have a title belt. This is a completely different concept. I was not sure how I was going to feel about it up until this match happened. But now that I have seen it play out, I am all about this. And if you follow either of them on Twitter, and you should because they're funny, Yano retweeted the clip of him backstage doing his comments. Okada retweeted Yano's tweet with the, not the sad face, but, the slits for eyes and the straight line for the mouth. Yeah. I don't know what the name of that, but yeah, Okada retweeted it with like that. So Okada's holding a grudge over losing a match because Yano punched him in the dick.
I love that. That's fucking rich. That is so good.
This is basically the best 7 minutes of wrestling that you're going to have anytime soon. So do not skip this match. This is super fun.
Fuck yeah,
a totally different flavor of fun, though, followed this up, which was nothing like the match that preceded it at all.
100%. And there was going to be no minced feelings about how anybody felt about this match right here, because we have for the Never Openweight Championship right here, we have Minoru Suzuki challenging the current reigning, defending, almost like he's a boxer and shit, Never Openweight Champion, Dragon Shingo Takagi right here. So for a lot of people, Shingo Takagi has probably been the best part of New Japan Pro Wrestling in the last few months. His hard-hitting bouts with the likes of Show, El Desperado, being clear highlights on the shows that they're on. Now he has an absolute beast of a challenge here in Minoru Suzuki. Perhaps pound for pound the most hard-hitting man in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Jay. So we were in for a doozy.
This was going to be amazing the second that it became obvious that this match was going to happen. Fans everywhere just started losing their minds, and I know I was one of them. I'm pretty sure you were too. We knew that this was going to be one of those kind of matches that is pretty much the kind of match that the Never Openweight title has become all about since the days of Ishii and Shibata fighting over it. And to be fair, Shingo has given some stability to a title that has been kind of hot potatoed, traditionally speaking. This was his fourth title defense. And, it was not a given that, oh, well, it's automatic that he's going to lose it because nobody holds on to that title for any length of time. Well, he's on his fourth defense. He's held on to it. When you watch this match, you need to watch it with the sound turned up, because the sounds that these two men make as they brutalize each other are just unreal. I mean, I know that things like the sound of the Shibata headbutt are not things anybody wants to hear anymore, and they don't go there, but all the stuff that they did do to each other, you will not fully appreciate it without the audio turned up, because this match was everything you could possibly want out of these two. It was brutal, it was intense, it was full of trash talking, it had a few surprises in it. You had people dodging moves that you didn't expect them to dodge. You had things happen that didn't quite fit the typical match for the person in question, but this was fantastic. They went almost right at 15 minutes, and your new Never Openweight champion, thanks to a Gotch-style pile driver, is Murder Dad Minoru Suzuki, everybody.
I think he's almost ascended the level. He's murder. He's the king of New York. He's the king of pro wrestling. Forget that damn trophy. Suzuki's the murder king of pro wrestling. He's almost a murder god at this point. So these dudes didn't really necessarily have a wrestling match, in my opinion. After when the first strike hit, where they were hitting each other with the first strike, this wasn't necessarily a wrestling match to me, as it was more of a zone of death. And yeah, this match had an extremely dangerous mood that will be kept up throughout the whole match. Like you said, these guys trading strikes and submissions throughout here. We got, like you said, probably pound for pound the two hardest hitting guys in the whole damn company, that being Minoru Suzuki and Dragon Shingo Takagi right here. This was fucking great. This ends Shingo's excellent reign as the Never Openweight champion. Like you said, he was the champion for 210 days. This is his fourth attempt at the defense. So, got two questions right here. Where does this title go in the immediate future? Who would be the next challenger? Well, I guess it kind of doesn't really, we're going to find that out because G1 Climax is pretty much going to be starting here very soon. So we're going to see what challengers we could potentially get. And do we get a rematch as quickly as G1 Climax brackets? So, or blocks, not brackets. So, we will see, but this was a fucking banger. And to this point, at least in my opinion, match of the show.
Oh, most definitely. And in the minds of some people, this is going to end up being the match of the show, period. And I have no quarrel with those people. I do totally agree with what Chris and Kevin were saying, that, Minoru Suzuki is a fighting champion. He'll fight anybody. Who is going to want to step up to him after this match? And that is also a very valid point. So,
and speaking of points, Jay, I was just going to say this real quick. I know we're a little biased right here, maybe a little, rose-colored glasses, but I think LIJ has maybe the top 3 wrestlers in the company right now, and you could interject them however you want to interject them. But I think the top 3 wrestlers are all in LIJ, and that's definitely my opinion, and I stand by that.
Well, I know that lots and lots of people actually agreed for a change with the PWI 500 list that came out, because Jon Moxley was number 1 at the top of it. But hold on, just a second. Just a second. I'll throw it right to you. When Chris Charlton said that if Shingo Takagi is not your VIP of wrestling in 2020 or very close to it. What's wrong with you? I think he has a very valid point in that. Tag, you're it.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just because when you said that, I just got like, I was like, oh, like, and we know what PWI 500 is. Of course, it's a kayfabe publication, and it's kind of kayfabe, but then it's kind of not. So it's like, all right, it's a little bit of both. But I don't know. I was like, when I saw that Moxley was #1, I was like, oh, okay. I get he was in AEW, he won that title. I get that. I get he won the US title and everything. And I tweeted out, I was like, yeah, he's in G1 Climax, but he arguably wasn't like in the top like 3 best guys in G1 Climax. He could maybe be in the top like 7, but I argue like Shingo had a better G1 than he did. Jay White had a way better G1 than he did. I mean, we can go, the list can go on who we said could had a better Minoru Suzuki had a great G1 as far as the match quality. Hiroki Goto always has a fucking banger G1. Tomohiro Ishii, I can keep going. Tomohiro Ishii. So I was like, man, he wasn't even the best guy in the G1 Climax. But I mean, I guess I get it. They want to go non-WWE, and you can't really pick a Japanese wrestler that's not Okada at this point. Like, honestly, if they had picked Naito, though, I think that would have went over well. And of course, Naito's my favorite wrestler, so of course I'm going to say that. But I think enough people in America know who Tetsuya Naito is to where I don't think they would have had a problem with it. But he is double champ, so I think that would have been whatever. But I don't know.
Well, Naito was listed at #5, and he was the highest ranking member of the New Japan roster on that list. So, there was that. I do stand by Chris's point, however, that if you watch all different manner of wrestling and not just stuff based out of America, Shingo Takagi most definitely deserves to be in the conversation for anybody's short list of the VIP of 2020, and that's pretty much all there is to it. He may not be your ultimate choice, but I don't think anyone can dispute that he belongs in that conversation.
100%. And we talked about 3 members of LIJ, and actually what's kind of funny is they're in like 3 of the like last 4 matches that we're going to talk about here. So we have another title match, my illustrious tag team partner. Why don't you tell the good people what's the next match we got?
Well, speaking of people who deserve to be in the conversation for VIP of Wrestling 2020, Hiromu Takahashi, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, was making his second title defense against Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori, and this was another match that so many fans were positively salivating over when we realized it was going to happen, because Hiromu versus Ishimori was one of those matches that people not only talked about for weeks after it happened in the finals of Best of the Super Juniors, but that was one of those matches that you would show your non-wrestling fan friends when you're trying to get them to understand why you watch this stuff. And even from then, most of us wanted more of that, and we were going to get it here. So it wasn't really a question of, was this match going to be good? It was, what route is this match going to take? Because ever since main event title match against Evil, the story has been Hiromu's shoulder and all the horrible things that Ishimori did to it. And he came out taped up. He had the initial shoulder injury. He was out for a little bit. He comes back. Everything's supposed to be fine. Ishimori hits him with the same move on the same shoulder, and we're all messed up again. So you had this completely crazy daredevil wrestler coming into a match basically on one wing. And you knew this was going to be a problem because so much of his offense requires the use of that shoulder. The time bomb and the time bomb 2 both require that. He's got the submission hold, the D that, it requires a little bit of use of it, not as much. But Hiromu was walking wounded from the very beginning, and there was always concern that he just was not going to be able to pull this off. Ishimori probably looked the best that we've seen from him in a while. I know it seems kind of weird that somebody of his status and with his resume felt like they were relegated to the background, but it seemed like his tag team with ELP was more about ELP than it was about him. And this is the Taiji Ishimori that we knew was there. This was the guy who is a legitimate champion in his own right. This is the guy who was such a threat to the entire division that in that particular Best of the Super Juniors, if you will recall, junior heavyweight champion at the time, Will Ospreay, was actually terrified of facing him. And when Hiromu ended up winning Best of the Super Juniors, he was actually relieved. He was like, oh, I can beat this guy. You know, Ishimori was going to kill me. That is what we needed to see again. And we saw it. About 13 and a half minutes, Ishimori tapped out Hiromu to the yes lock and is now our new junior heavyweight champion. And I'm not going to lie, I was torn about this. Obviously, I want Hiromu to win all the things. But considering what they're about to jump into, you know, we're going to go straight into G1 and then straight into Wrestle Kingdom. You need conflict, you need stories. You can't have everything being all, you know, happy place right now. So I went into this match with a pretty strong feeling that Hiromu was going to lose it. And so I'm not totally upset about it because now we can see what might happen through G1 and Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think we both probably covered that fact that Hiromu might lose this match. And if you thought about it on paper, he probably should have, because Taiji Ishimori, he's in the upper echelon of the junior heavyweight division. Not only the junior heavyweight division, but just of wrestlers in New Japan, period. So if you're going into that match with a target on you and you're not 100%, it's going to make it that much easier for a guy like that who's already an elite wrestler to beat you. So I saw that and I thought that was like, okay, it made sense for that to happen. And it would kind of make, depending on how the match went, it would kind of make Ishimori look silly and stupid if he lost to a guy with a hurt shoulder, depending, you know, especially with the kind of caliber wrestler that he is. It would have made him look a little silly, I feel. I don't know. He needed this match more than Hiromu did right here. We know Hiromu got that big rub in the New Japan Cup. He got that huge rub right here. So he was still living high off that. And then the fact that you said this was actually only his second defense. I know he had the stuff go on. But his first defense was all the way, I think, in the end of January, kind of beginning of February against Dragon Lee. So he kind of needed this belt off of him. Taiji Ishimori needs this title more than Hiromu does right now. Hiromu's probably going to go into G1 Climax. I'm not sure about Taiji. I'm not sure if he's going to go in G1. What will be interesting, which I don't know if they will do this, but if they did try to run BSOJ and G1 at the same time, if Hiromu was like, hey, I'm pulling double duty, I would be like, that's some God shit if that was to ever happen. For a dude to be like, hey, I'm in both of these round robin tournaments at the same time, and I'm going to win both of them. That would be like legendary, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Hiromu wasn't able to fight through the injuries. What I thought was a great little nod and a great little touch, it was almost at the beginning of this match. It's like the tide had changed a little bit because Taiji Ishimori was trying to end this match rather quickly, pretty much akin to what Hiromu Takahashi when he just washed Kushida in under 3 minutes. Many years ago, about 3 years ago. So it was almost akin to that. I like that little callback to that situation right there. Ishimori walks out the champion. I thought it was great. I was like, that's a great nod to that. He walks out the champion. He needed this belt right here. You need somebody from Bullet Club to get the victory because they really don't have a lot of, I don't want to say they don't have a lot of big hitters, but they currently have the junior heavyweight champion and the double champ going into the main event right now. So they need as much clout as they can get, and I think this not only helped Bullet Club, it helped Taiji Ishimori right here. So I was for him lose, or for Hiromu. I'm not for Hiromu losing. I was like, hey, if he wins, that's cool. But if he loses, it's probably better off for Taiji. So it is what it is. Hiromu Takahashi will probably get that belt back. You know, in the meantime, between time, he'll be in G1. So.
Oh, he'll definitely get it back. And well, you said it right the first time. Bullet Club does not have their big hitters really, and I think when all of them are there, there's so many people that you kind of forget that, you know, Ishimori is basically a legend in his own time, and you know, people forget how good he really is. So I have no problem whatsoever with him being the new junior champ. Yeah, it was at Hiromu's expense, but you know, Hiromu transcends everything. He'll get it back. I do want to address one point you made because I hadn't thought about it, and now I think this is kind of brilliant. I don't think they're going to do it either, but let's say for the sake of arguments that they do have Best of the Super Juniors and G1 at the same time, because both of them are going to be much smaller due to lack of travel. Two things. First of all, apparently the Japanese government is allowing foreigners who have residency in Japan to come back into the country sometime next month. So that means some of the people, you know, Juice Robinson, Will Ospreay, there are several people to whom that would apply. Now, with what you just said before about, you know, Hiromu, you know, pulling double duty and doing Best of the Super Juniors and G1 at the same time, let's say that Ospreay comes back into the country. You know, he did both tournaments. He didn't do them at the same time. And so if Hiromu is able to pull off both tournaments simultaneously, he would actually be able to, you know, throw that out there that, you know, yeah, you did that. You didn't do it at once. And, you know, because that would always be a thing, you know, oh, you know, he did both of those tournaments in the same year. And Hiromu's like, yeah, me too. I did them at the same time. Yeah. It's a minor thing, but now that you've mentioned it, I kind of think that would be awesome. And we already know that the G1 is going to be a very condensed and modified version of it, where you're only going to have A block tournament matches on A block nights. You're not going to have B block people even be there. Those shows are going to be really short. And so it kind of makes me wonder if they might not actually do Best of the Super Juniors and G1 at the same time, just so you get a full-length show out of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It could happen.
It could happen, and if Hiromu, that would be so god tier for Hiromu to do that. Like, and if he does it, they stole our idea. So here's what it is. So, I mean, it's like, hey man, y'all take, but it is what it is. So now we got the penultimate match. Yeah, right. Had to get a little, you know, subliminal little shot right there. But now we got the penultimate match of the show. We have for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, we got the DTs, better known as the Dangerous Techers, Taiji and Zack Sabre Jr., defending their championships against the guys who they actually took them off of. Golden Ace, I got Hiromu on the brain. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi right here. So as far as I see it, a lot of people saying Golden Ace is one bad day from breaking up, with Kota Ibushi being frustrated by Tanahashi's failing, quote unquote, the team over and over. It's kind of hilarious too, because he's just like shaking his head. He's just walking away from him, you know. So Tanahashi's like, no, we all good. Kota Ibushi's like, no, not really right here. So they're looking
Kota's not angry. He's just disappointed.
Yeah. That, which is even fucking worse. That's damn near even worse right here.
It's totally worse. Oh, yeah.
It's like, ugh, man. So Kota he's the team captain of Golden Ace now going into this match. So we get a classic heel versus classic babyface team. We know Tanahashi's body isn't what it used to be. That only lets him garner even more sympathy from his fans, I feel. So Dangerous Techers, as we would expect, we use every shortcut in the book to get the advantage in this tag team match. Golden Ace, as they are known to do, a battle back. And they looked really good here in this tag team match, and they know how to counter the tricks of the tag team champions. And I think that's the familiarity of these guys when they've been wrestling each other, and they've even adopted a few tricks themselves. I thought that was nice. Ibushi, he saved Tanahashi from a submission. He was able to take Taiji out, and Tanahashi would hit Ace's high into the high fly flow, but he actually missed the high fly flow with Zack and Taiji hitting with the Zack Mephisto combination for the win. This could have easily gone as a victory for Golden Ace right here, but one slip up, which I thought was a nice touch from Tanahashi, cost them the tag team championship match. So we get Ibushi and Tanahashi remain in the team for now, it seems, but yeah, that ending, I just thought this just added so much fuel to that fire, and I love it. We predicted, I think we predicted Dangerous Tekkers to win this match, and I'm glad they did. We get the first defense of a tag team title in a while, so shout out to the Dangerous Tekkers.
Oh, absolutely. I was really hoping that they would pull out a win, not because I don't want Golden Ace to have the tag titles, but there is so much mileage in a Dangerous Tekkers tag team title reign that we haven't even come close to getting yet. And the fact that Golden Ace basically had their number most of the way through this match, they had counters for the shenanigans. They had, plans of stuff for them to do together. They did their homework and they came prepared, and they had this match won. Tanahashi goes up to the top rope and you know what's coming, and then it doesn't come because he's gonna do high fly flow and we're gonna have the win, and they literally catch him and hit Zack Mephisto, and it was just like, what just happened? So yeah. You had everything going the way of Golden Ace. They should have won this match. Boom, that last second thing. So, yeah, I thought this was a great tag team match. I enjoyed it a lot. And once that happened, I was waiting to see what Ibushi's reaction was going to be. That, if he walked off or if he, appeared angry or frustrated with Tanahashi, then, okay, here's where this is probably going to go. He didn't do that, though. And, not only did he check on him afterwards, Ibushi helped to walk Tanahashi out. So if there is a display of emotion coming, we did not see it here. And let's be honest, Kota Ibushi is not exactly known for being tranquilo. So if he had felt it, I think we would have seen it.
No, yeah, I think you got a point about that. And I'll be interested as far as on the other side of the coin to see where the champions go from here. G1 Climax is definitely coming up. But post G1 Climax, I want to see who will be their first challengers if it will not be. If we don't get a final, I could actually see us getting a final Golden Ace match and it being like if the Golden Ace don't win, they have to disband. I don't know if they go that route, but I think that would be kind of a nice touch, especially since you get the G1 to kind of separate the tag team matches that they just had. If you want to do something right after G1 and be like, hey, y'all can have a title shot, but this is it. If y'all lose title shot, 1, no more title matches, and 2, y'all got to disband. So I wouldn't mind that, actually, if they went that route, but we'll see. We'll see what they got. So next we got the main event, Jay, and I think we all were looking forward to this for numerous reasons. It's been crazy. This last, kind of briefly talk about the last 2 months, I guess. This has been a very interesting time in New Japan as far as the last 2 months. We get Evil with the character change right here. Him being a double champion. And when he first won the belt, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of shocking. But I don't know if this was just me. And I don't know if I was just like, because of what Naito said. But ever since, he did win the defense off of Hiromu, which he needed like all the help in the world to beat Hiromu Takahashi, which that's not a diss to Hiromu, but it's kind of like, Hiromu still is a junior heavyweight, and you out here still needing help. And so Naito said the rental period on those belts. And ever since Naito said that, I was just like, God damn, Evil's a pretender to the throne out here. Like, and I wasn't even trying to think about it like that. But ever since Naito said that, and I was just like, dude, Evil, the character change is nice, but I was like, right now, he's a pretender to the throne. He's like, he has the titles, but he's not the champion. He's really not. And those words hit home with me. And ever since then, I just looked at him as a pretender to the throne. I really did. I looked at him as a guy who was holding the titles until Summer Struggle in the Jingu Stadium, which is what the match we got right here. So I just want to know what you think about that.
Well, I think that's totally fair. And let's not forget what Naito said in his most recent interview, which a lot of people responded to with pictures of fire, where the interviewer asked Naito how he felt about the things that Evil was saying about LIJ as a unit, that they were pathetic, they were rotten, they were trash. There's all of these terrible things about LIJ as a unit, and Naito's response was so very, very Naito. Like, some people throw shade, Naito throws the entire lamp, but does it in a way that is very uniquely him, where his response to that was, I don't buy it. I think he's trying to convince himself. Besides, if we're that bad and he was the 4th ranked heavyweight of the group, what does that say about him? Oh, that's part of why we love him. But there were a lot of predictions on a lot of channels and sites, and I know I overthought this, but you and I are basically the biggest Naito fans on this planet who are not his parents. So Tell me if I'm wrong. Naito fans have been trained that bad things are always going to happen. And so I'm looking at this and I thought, okay, yeah, all the parallels between Evil Now and 2016 Naito, like they're all they're exact. And then I thought, okay, wait a second. The fact that Naito is pointing this out means that, they're going to swerve us and Evil's going to win, because the fact that Naito has seen these parallels and pointed them out to all of us in his backstage comments means that they can't possibly follow the exact same path. And for every reason that I thought of Naito winning, I had another equally valid reason for him not to win. So I'm coming into this match going, I'm just going to assume he's losing, because then if he wins, it will be, this fabulous surprise. And if he doesn't win, then I won't be terribly shocked. Now, this match, as your typical New Japan main event, was, by far the longest thing on the card, just over 26 minutes. Yeah, I'm impressed and they didn't go the full 30, but what's cool about it is that a big chunk of that time was actually not taken up with a wrestling match at all. We got to see something that was very long overdue, and that was a little bit of balance on the scale that is Dick Togo. I'm pitching it over you for that.
Yeah, about to say, not only did him, but all of Bullet Club right here, because we got, and this is something that I feel a lot of LIJ fans have been pining for. And before we even get to that, and I know that, a lot of, Naito was saying the whole, this is reminding him of 2016 and everything like that. And I can see exactly where you're coming from, where you're like, damn, they could swerve us and have Evil go over and have him win. But what made me kind of take it out of that and say, I don't think that's happening. New Japan has already shocked us with having Evil join Bullet Club and win the double title. So I was like, they've already did their big shock right there. So I'm like, at this point, he's been 7-0. They said they were 7-0 since winning the New Japan Cup and beat Naito. So I was like, when they said that, I was like, okay, that's just all the ammunition I needed to, believe what I believed. And normally I am a pessimistic Naito fan, to where sometimes throughout the week I'll be brain like, yeah, Naito's going to win a match. He's going to win a match. But when the match happens, I'm like, oh my God, Naito's not winning this match. I didn't waver at all. Like, Yeah, Jay, I swear, I didn't waver at all. I was like, no, Naito's winning this match because one, it makes sense, and Evil can't go into G1 as the heavy, as double champion. He can't do that. He's pretty much as this new Evil character. He's pretty much has not went as far as he can go because he still has more to go. But right now in this little new spree, he did what he needed to do already. He changed the establishment. He's in Bullet Club. He was the double champion. He won the New Japan Cup. He already beat Naito for the belt. So the only logical thing I felt was for Naito to get his comeuppance back, and that's ultimately what we got here. We got, like you said, something for fans clamoring for on Twitter. Many of the like, oh, how come when people interfere in Naito's matches, none of LIJ come and interfere and they don't try to, offset the balance or whatever. And shout out to the English commentary because Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton kind of elaborate and gave the backstory to that. They said pretty much after he won the belt in 2016 and he actually dropped it to Okada, his second defense, dropped it to Okada. He realized that, yeah, that win when I beat him for the title was a hollow win as there ever could be. Yeah, I won the championship. I was the IWGP Heavyweight Champion in the record books, but was I really? Because it took all of my stable to help me beat Okada, and Okada didn't have any hope. So it changed. He was like, nope, if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. And we didn't necessarily get that, but we got almost a comeuppance for the interfering Bullet Club members because we not only got Dick Togo here, we got fucking Ghetto coming out right here trying to interject his, little nose in his business. And shout out to Ghetto for still wearing the Switchblade shirt. And I like that new Switchblade shirt. It's kind of like a Venom-esque style. It's pretty sweet.
It's very cool. The King Switch part is what keeps me from buying that, but the design is awesome. I love that.
It's a really good design. So it just kind of makes us wonder what's going to happen here. Like you said, is Jay White going to be one of those guys that's able to come back over here once October happens? So I thought actually this match was better than the match that we had in Dominion. And the reason I think that there was one little mess up, but it is what it is on that. They didn't have to do as much storytelling in this match as they had to do in the match in Dominion. That's why the match was so long as it was, because it was essentially two matches going on. You had to get Evil over and establish as this new heel character that he was, and then you had to have an actual wrestling match. So here, Evil's already this heel character, which I've seen some people. I saw, actually, I don't know how you feel about this comment, but somebody said, I'm getting tired of Evil cosplaying as Jay White for 2 months. He needs to lose. So I was like, whoa, that's, I was like, that's kind of, I was like, damn, that's kind of, I don't want to say true, but it kind of is. So, yeah, it's essentially what we got right here. Naito wins this match. I know he had a running Destino, but running Destinos to me don't even really count. He wins this match with a singular Destino, and honestly, him beating Evil was super definitive. It was I was like, wow. Like, I don't want to say like Naito just kind of washed him at the end, but Naito kind of just washed him at the end. It was just like, all right, he hit Valencia. Then it was like, all right, is Evil going to attempt to counter this Destino? I was like, oh, nope. I was like, oh, well, I was like, shit, that's it. I was like, Evil's not kicking out at it. And God damn it, he did not. So, Jay, what do you say?
And I think that was absolutely perfect because if you look at what we saw, and again, I'm not making any pretense about the fact that I enjoyed pretty much all of this. I know there's a lot of, people who didn't, but here's the thing. It's not by accident that once all the rest of Bullet Club is literally dragged out by other members of LIJ and Evil and Naito are left one-on-one, that Naito completely washes Evil. Because the rental period is over, the pretender to the throne has just been shoved off of it. Both of them know that Evil's not good enough to beat Naito one-on-one, and we saw that here. So I think as far as the real story of the match, once you took all his help away, he couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done. And I think it's going to be really telling when Evil can get a legit one-on-one victory over Naito without any help. I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon, but I think that is ultimately what we were getting at. Now, before we wrap this up, though, we got to talk about introductions and conclusions. Because for one thing, say what you will about evil cosplaying as Jay White. Dear God, I hope he doesn't grow the beard that way. But the whole picture of Evil coming out with that particular music right as it's getting dark, that was so freaking cool. Yeah, I cannot ever let go of the theater director within, and I'm just like, oh, the timing on that was so neat. So just as a moment, I enjoyed that a whole lot. And I think there's still pieces of my jaw on the floor when Naito came out in that white suit. That is a new suit. His ring gear is also new. I think this is, everybody gets new G1 gear. I think we got to see his a little bit early because, oh my God, that stuff was amazing. If you just see pictures of it, it doesn't necessarily do it justice. This is not the same white suit at all. And you got to see the actual entrance, I think, to fully appreciate that. And then post-match, I honestly just started laughing, like the happy kind, when he gets the roll call. They gave him fireworks. Naito got fireworks, and he's laying in the ring doing the tranquilo pose with both the title belts, and there's fireworks going off at a baseball stadium. And for that one moment, everything was right with the world. And it was like, if he had come up with all of this by himself, it could not have been more fitting, because if you're at all a fan of Naito's, you know what a diehard baseball fanatic he is. He loves baseball. And this is basically the most fitting thing that could ever happen for him. And it was beautiful. It was an absolutely beautiful moment.
100%. And two, I don't know if this is because, of course, Tetsuya Naito is my favorite wrestler, but with not only the fireworks, with him getting this victory back on Evil, with him getting the double belts, is him ending this show right here. And I'm not even gonna lie, once he was doing the roll call, I did kind of look on the side of the ring to check, make sure nobody was doing a run-in. I was like, all right, no run-in, cool. I was like, that's great.
Same.
It's like, woo. But I don't even know if I'm just, reading too much into this, because yes, Naito is my favorite wrestler. But to me, this right here, well, of course, with the whole of 2020 in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but at least for the foreseeable future, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tetsuya Naito, he's the guy. I know, Okada had his run, and he probably will have another run. But for right now, for Tetsuya Naito, he's the guy now. And he's been the champion before. He's been the double champion. He won it in January. And even when he won it in January, I didn't maybe necessarily feel like he was the guy, because I felt he just won a double title, because I'm like, Okada's still there, he's still going to do his thing. But with where they position these people at right now, as far as wrestlers goes, Tetsuya Naito's the guy. It's undeniable. He is the Shuyaku, hands down. It's clear.
Yeah, we thought he was before, but it's been absolutely cemented now. And as far as where we go from here, there's not a lot of downtime. They're going to be going straight into some Road 2 stuff, and the G1 is going to start, and then it's straight into Wrestle Kingdom from there. So, exactly how all this is going to work out is fascinating. And this was a great show. It was a lot of fun, and I think if you haven't seen it and you've seen a lot of negative feedback, I think give it a shot and watch it anyway. And your opinion might be a little bit different, but I thought this was great.
Ooh, Jay, and I got a closing hot take before we get the hell out of here, and you can tell me how you feel about it. As I'm thinking about the G1 climax and everything, I don't know how this is going to happen, and I'm thinking about potential challenges for the belt, but I'm willing to stake my name on this right now. The Wrestle Kingdom main event, because Wrestle Kingdom main event is going to be Hiromu Takahashi versus Tetsuya Naito.
You are not the first person I've heard say that.
It's because I'm like, damn, who could be a fresh challenger right now? We didn't get that match at the anniversary show. We didn't get Naito closing out Wrestle Kingdom with the LIJ roll call with the members in the ring. We're going to get both of those, I feel, in one fell swoop. And it's just like, you know what? I'm fine with it. And even if it is a quote unquote predictable outcome or whatever, if Naito wins or whatever, it's still kind of a landmark thing. It's not about, oh, this is, well, I think that's going to be the main event. I don't know why. It just kind of just hit me as we're sitting here. I was like, I think that's going to be the main of Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know why. I just feel that is.
Well, and again, a lot of people have said that. I've seen it on social media quite a bit. But, the one thing we need to keep in mind is that Naito has been very, very clear that his view of the double champion was never supposed to be defending both titles at the same time all the time. It was never supposed to be that. And, he did it the first time because, the company told him to, but, he was okay with it because Kenta had ruined his moment. But what he wanted everybody to see now was his view of what a double champion should be, where the titles would be defended separately. People do not get shots at both. So that being the case, it's totally plausible that he could lose the Intercontinental title before Wrestle Kingdom and be holding the heavyweight title in time to main event the Dome in whatever capacity that happens to be. And I actually would not necessarily have a problem with that. In fact, if Wrestle Kingdom is going to continue being 2 days, I'm seeing two different main events going on here, and I could absolutely see him losing the IC title and keeping the heavyweight one.
Speaking of the IC title and Naito, I misspoke earlier on Twitter. I said Naito actually became a 5-time Intercontinental Champion, tying Shinsuke Nakamura. He actually has surpassed that. This is Naito's 6th Intercontinental Championship reign, and I know a lot of people, they do identify the belt with Shinsuke Nakamura, rightfully so. He made that belt what it was, but at this point, I think that it's not anymore. I don't think that's his belt anymore. I think that belt is Naito's belt now. I'm sorry. Not even with him being the 6-time champion. Like, Shinsuke Nakamura wanted to be the Intercontinental Champion. That belt has kind of been in Naito's way, and it's been kind of like he love, hate. So Naito's the greatest IWGP Intercontinental Champion at this point. It is what it is. His relationship with that belt is too strong. Like, the bond's too strong. So I don't know.
Well, it's fair. It's a completely different situation. Shinsuke wanted it to be the most important belt, and he made it what it was. And with Naito, people learned about that belt because he was so awful to it, but he realized he needed it to do what he wanted to do, and so it's a different situation. But I think definitely more recently, you could argue that he's the more closely associated with that title at this point. But partly because of that, I think if he's going to lose one of those titles, it's going to be that one first.
Oh, for sure. It's got to be. Like, and also, too, at this point, he's a 3-time IWGP heavyweight champion, which I was like, damn, Naito won that belt 3 times now? I was like, shit, man. I was like, look at you out here winning Super Bowls and shit, getting all like, sedity out here, Naito. I was just like, look at you.
Well, I mean, the first time it was for 71 days, and then the second time we had a catastrophic global pandemic and people didn't get to see you do anything. So this one is really going to count, hopefully.
Let's do it. So now, that's been our summer struggle in Jingu Stadium review. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it, man. Y'all fuck with us the long way and a strong way. So There's I believe a subscription button here on Podbean, so go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and do that. So you know what it is. SOS Wrestling Network. We here holding it down for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I will see when that New Japan Roadshow is. I didn't check when the schedule was. Didn't care. I was like Naito won. That's all I care about right now. So that can take it back. So we will find out when that is coming up shortly. And yeah, this is just a damn good show. Maybe New Japan's best show since they came back. Maybe. So we leave it up to y'all to decide, man. I think so. If y'all think so, that's cool too. If not, that's fucking cool too. So y'all know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, all that great shit, man. I don't even know if they can do that on here. I'm just so used to saying it. So it is. I'm wired to say that, but no. You know what it is. Follow us on Twitter, SOS Wrestling Net. Go ahead and do that. So we actually do have an Instagram. I gotta upload some pics and all that stuff and all that good stuff. But yeah, thanks for fucking with us as always. Jay, is anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
I think you said it.
Oh shit, we out here flexing. Like I said before, we are SOS Wrestling on steroids, but SOS Wrestling Network on steroids, baby. So get with it. And we holler at y'all later. Y'all take it easy.